if this process is protracted for years or decades, not because of us, but because of partners, then we have absolutely just question what will be defending us against this evil for this whole time on this whole path. Which support package? Which missiles? Will we be given nuclear weapons? Then let them give us nuclear weapons.
This is my video update on this Tuesday afternoon, February the 4th, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And we are going to start things off with USAID, of course. USAID actually is the more correct way to pronounce it. USAID. It looks like they will be folded under the U.S. State Department. This is according to a statement made by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Yesterday, he said that he is going to be the acting director of USAID, and it will go under the United States Department of State. Still a good thing? Yeah, this is still a good thing. Absolutely. I would have preferred for USAID to have been shut down. I think that's what Elon Musk wanted, but it looks like President Trump has decided to take USAID, or whatever's going to be left of USAID, and put it under the Department of State, the Foreign Ministry of the United States of America. And as I said in my video update yesterday, as both me and Alexander talked about in our recent video update on the Duran, USAID going under the Department of State still means that USAID going under the Department of State still means that USAID is going to be very much diminished and weakened, if not dissolved altogether. Does this mean that regime change operations around the world are going to stop? By the United States are going to stop? No. No, it does not. But will they be lessened? Yeah, I think they will. Does it mean that USAID will now have to work through the bureaucracy of the US government, which means that it will be slowed down? Yeah. It's going to have oversight, and it's going to have to go through certain approvals. And the money from the oligarchs, well, that's going to have to stop. That is going to have to absolutely stop. Yeah, it's a big change. It's a very, very big change, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing that this is happening to USAID. It's a win, and we should take the win. We should take the win, and even though regime change is not going to stop, it is going to be lessened, it is going to be weakened, it still is a win. Absolutely. Now we have to see what's going to happen to the NED, if anything is going to happen to the NED. Maybe that should get folded under the Department of State as well. It means that if any, when any regime change operations take place in the future, let's say the NED and USAID and all of this regime change machinery gets folded underneath the Department of State, any regime change operations in the future, everyone's going to know that the US was behind it. You see where I'm getting to? In the past, people kind of knew the US was behind it. People in the know, people that were reporting on this stuff, people that reported on Maidan, for example, and they followed Maidan in 2014. Yeah, the US was behind it. We knew the US was behind it. But other people, did not know that the US was behind it. Other people would argue that the US was not behind it, that this was a grassroots, from the people type of protest. Yeah, Newland was there passing out cookies and bread and other tasty treats and snacks that she cooked up in her kitchen. But she was doing that out of the kindness of her heart, because people were protesting for many weeks, many months, and she wanted to go out and feed them and keep them warm and give them something to nibble on. But she wasn't involved. The State Department was not involved in the protests. We've all had those debates. We've all had those debates. I've had a ton of them. The U.S. was not involved in Maidan. The U.S. was involved in Maidan. No, it was not. That was grassroots. The U.S. was not involved in Georgia. No, that was grassroots. That was from the people. The people wanted the regime change. They wanted to get rid of Georgia Dream. They went out onto the streets. They provided their own tents, their own flags, their own funding. People traveled on their own dime to Tbilisi to take part in the protests. No, the U.S. State Department was not involved in any of that. Going forward, any regime changes that take place, the U.S. has to own it. Yeah, they have to own it. So there's going to be no debate about it. Was the U.S. involved in X, Y, and Z regime change? Is the U.S., the actual United States government, are they funding these protests or these people who are trying to remove the government? Absolutely. And the U.S. is going to have to take ownership of it. It's a big change. It is a big change. And you know what else is interesting about all of this? So many people now are talking about regime change and the USAID's role in regime change, which indirectly means the United States' role in the regime change, because before, the U.S. government had plausible deniability, right? They weren't involved. They weren't involved. It was USAID and these other institutions and organizations and NGOs that were off doing these things. The government could say, we didn't do any of this stuff, man. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. I was just passing out cookies, man. I was just there passing out cookies. That's it. But now everyone's talking about the USAID and all of the no good things it was up to, and all the crazy stuff it was up to, and all the crazy initiatives that it was funding. Everyone is talking about it, man. I was watching Mark Dice, his video yesterday, and he was talking about how there was a program about 5-6 years ago where the USAID was funding or actually created Cuban rappers, Cuban hip-hop groups to try and infiltrate the Cuban government and to try and get some sort of a youth regime change operation in Cuba, a youth-led regime change operation in Cuba. Here's the Guardian article. U.S. agency infiltrated Cuban hip-hop scene to spark youth unrest. Investigation finds USAID recruited musicians to break information blockade as part of covert social project. And we also have the reports about how Samantha Power was in Hungary trying to stir up some unrest for the Orban government. From the X account of Mario Naufal, USAID's hidden agenda, Power's mission to weaken Orban. Hungary is a democratic NATO-aligned nation that re-elected Orban in a landslide in 2022. That wasn't the right outcome for Washington. Enter Samantha Power, who at the time was administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development. Under the banner of strengthening democracy, USAID bankrolled opposition media, funded NGOs, and met with activists to undermine Hungary's elected government. Power's real message: play by globalist rules or expect a color revolution. This isn't democracy promotion, it's foreign interference. Everyone's talking about all of the stuff that USAID was up to, all of the no good empire stuff that USAID was up to. That's a good thing. The truth is coming out, man. The truth is coming out. Yeah, a bunch of people got fired. Like very high up officials got fired, and a whole bunch of people were locked out of the offices because Doge wanted to go in there and see what's going on, and so they had to close up the offices. And let me move, because this guy sat right next to me out of all the places to sit, right next to me, and it distracts me. Today I want a quiet spot to do this video. Oh boy, let's go down there. So yeah, they had to close up the DC offices to prevent any kind of erasing of information and paper shredding. And what's that guy's name? Raskin and Ilhan Omar and a bunch of other can't sit there because that bench is all wet, and a bunch of other people in the House and senators, Congress people, they were protesting in DC. The DC elite crowd, the DC globalist elite crowd was very upset about the closing down of USAID. Very upset, and they were protesting. Ilhan Omar was very, very upset. Trump is a dictator. He is a dictator because he wants to. He's a dictator because he's taking action against an organization, an entity that removes governments. He's a dictator. Okay. So yeah, the deep state is pushing back. The deep state is going to push back. They are not going to accept this. No way. We're talking about a lot of money. A whole lot of money. A lot of people's salaries and savings and summer homes and expensive cars and all of these things were dependent on USAID and all of these organizations all around the world, not only the United States, all around the world. USAID is pretty much everywhere. It is a representation of empire, no doubt about it. So we had big news yesterday about the tariffs against Canada and Mexico, the possible tariffs against Canada and Mexico. And we've got a 30-day pause because Trump spoke to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, and also spoke to Trudeau, and we got a deal. We got a deal, and they're pretty much the same exact deal, mostly focused on the border. About 10,000 troops from Mexico will secure the border in the south, and 10,000 troops in Canada will secure the border in the north, and they're going to stop fentanyl from moving into the United States. And Mexico actually got one thing from the United States. The U.S. promised Mexico that they're going to stop the weapons flows from the United States into Mexico. So that's one difference and a concession that Mexico got from the United States that's not in the Canada deal. Trudeau is going to pour all kinds of money into task forces to secure the border and stuff like that. He's going to appoint a border czar or a fentanyl czar or something like that as well. But yeah, we got a 30-day pause. Absolutely, a 30-day pause. It looks like Mexico came out with a little bit of a better deal, even though they're pretty much the same exact arrangement. But it's time for Canada to get a good leader in place, man. That's what this whole story has revealed, that they need a good leader in place, and a good foreign minister, man. In cases like this, you see how important a good foreign minister is. No need to contact Kaya Kallas. What are you doing contacting Kaya Kallas a couple of days ago? Why? Why are you talking to Kaya Kallas? What does that do? But you know, these this current crop of collective West leaders, Trudeau and all of these guys, Macron, Stammer, whenever they have any kind of trouble, they always retreat to their globalist pals. Instead of dealing with the problem that you have, they always make a trip to meet one of their globalist pals. Trudeau going to Poland to hang out with Tusk. Foreign Minister of Canada speaking with Jolie, speaking with Kaya Kallas. It's just a waste of time. They're just looking busy. They're not really dealing with the problem, and they lost precious days trying to look busy, trying to talk tough, but actually doing nothing to address the problem or to address the issue, which was these Trump tariffs. So we'll see what will happen in 30 days. They're going to start negotiations, both countries, and we'll see what the end result will look like. But yeah, the collective West, this whole concept of the collective West, and this rat pack of leaders, which was pretty much started by Obama. It was Obama and Cameron and Hollande and all of these guys, and Merkel and Trudeau. That was the original rat pack of collective West leaders. Buddies, pals, they're buddies and pals and best friends, and they're always going to stick together through thick and thin for the neoliberal religion. That's all done. That is all done. And it morphed into Ursula and Macron and Trudeau. Trudeau's been a constant throughout this whole time. Trudeau's been the one constant of the collective West neoliberal rat pack. He was there with Obama and Cameron and Merkel, and he's been there with Ursula and Borrell and Kallas and Tusk and Macron and Schultz. He's been the one constant, Trudeau. And it's time for him to exit, man. I don't know if the alternative is going to be any better. I think it will be marginally better. I think it will be an improvement. A slight improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. And hopefully you get Canada gets a good foreign minister in place, and things start to improve, and both countries, Canada, Mexico, and all the countries that are now having to deal with this tariff threat, this tariff reality, they have to understand that the multipolar world is here, and spheres of influence, and you're going to have to navigate that. It's not going to be easy. I think Mexico understood this many years ago, and they've made moves towards China, towards BRICS. They have good relations, excellent relations with Russia. Mexico understood this many years back, but they have the very, very powerful big neighbor to the north. They're going to have to navigate that. Trudeau, this hit him like a freaking bus, man. He was still in the mindset, and he still is in the mindset of we're buddies and friends with the collective West. We're part of this group. Why are you doing this to us, Trump? We're part of the group, the collective West rat pack. Why are you coming down hard on us? This has to change. This has to change. Anyway, it's the end of the collective West. That's what we're seeing right now. The end of the collective West. The EU is next. The EU is coming up next with tariff and trade wars. The tariff threat. Trump said that the EU is an atrocity on trade. I can hear the frogs, man. They're so loud. Frogs are so loud. Let's see what's going on. Oh, there we go. Frogs are down there somewhere. Man, they were so loud. They were singing, the frogs. But yeah, Trump said the EU is an atrocity when it comes to trade. An atrocity. Trump said the UK is out of line, but I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union, it's an atrocity what they've done. So the UK is way out of line, but European Union is really out of line. Oh, man. Yeah, the EU. You're batting next. You're batting next to EU. It's going to be a quick one. It'll be a quick strikeout for the European Union. They're talking tough, but they're going to fold very quickly. Within minutes, they're going to fold. They have a little retreat that is taking place in Brussels. They call it an EU, a European Union leaders informal retreat. And they're hanging out and they're talking about Trump, the evil that is Trump. They're trying to figure it out. They've got the evil that is Putin, and now they've got the evil that is Trump. They're trying to figure out a strategy. How do you deal with these two evils? Reuters has an article with the title, EU leaders to huddle on defense against Russia and handling Trump. That's right, a two-front war. You got Russia to the east. You got the United States to the west. How is the European Union going to handle this two-front war? Mette Frederiksen of Denmark, she's warning Trump, don't you dare place tariffs on the European Union. If you place tariffs on the European Union, well, you're gonna have a big time retaliation on your hands. Kaya Kallas is also warning Trump. She's stunning and brave, man. Kaya Kallas, she's so stunning and so brave. So brave. And of course, the defender of Europe, the protector of EU values, the protector of Western values, of the Western order, none other than Emmanuel Macron. He is also warning Trump. You want to go to war? You want to go to war, he's saying? You want to go to war, Trump? All right, let's go have a tariff war. That's what Macron is saying. He said that Europe will defend itself against the United States. And then Macron even threatened that he is going to double. He said he's going to double military spending for France. He's going to double it. And it's going to be all European. And there's a debate going on right now in the EU because Macron is saying we need to buy European. We need to double our defense spending, and it needs to be all European MIC, European military companies. But there are other members in the EU, other member states that are saying, yeah, Emmanuel Macron, that sounds good, but Trump's going to be upset if we double our defense spending and we don't give the money to the United States and the U.S. military companies. So there's this debate going on in the EU as well. But Macron sent out his warning to Trump. Let's see, what did Denmark say? Let's start with Denmark. What did Denmark say? Speaking to reporters ahead of an informal meeting of EU leaders in Brussels, Frederiksen warned that Trump's insistence on placing levies on the bloc's goods could trigger a trade war. I'm not in favor of a trade war. I'm actually in favor of the opposite, that we trade with each other, but It is clear that if there is a very strong American pressure on the European market, we simply cannot do anything but respond harshly, she stated. Respond harshly. And Kaya Kallas, she's taking a different approach. Kaya Kallas is taking a more clever approach to a possible trade war with the United States. Speaking ahead of an informal gathering of EU leaders in Brussels on Monday, Kallas responded to Trump's warning by stating that a trade war would not be beneficial to either side. There are no winners in trade wars, Kallas stressed, pointing out that the US and the EU are very interlinked and need each other. She warned that imposing tariffs would increase costs, which would not be good for the people. If the United States starts the trade war, then the one laughing on the side is China, she added. Very clever. Stunning and brave, and also very, very smart approach from Kaya Kallas, telling the Trump administration that if there's a trade war between the EU and the United States, which is very linked, they're very linked. The United States needs the EU very much. The EU needs the United States very much. Yes, it does. But they're very linked, according to Kaya Kallas. And if there is a trade war, then the one that benefits is the evil China. China's going to be laughing. China's going to be laughing all the way to the bank. China's going to be laughing. We need to stick together, Trump. Together forever. Man, they hide so quick. I want to show you guys the frogs, but every time I approach, they hide. Anyway, yeah. That's Kaya Kallas. We don't want China to laugh, do we? China imposed, they retaliated a bit to the United States as well, but China's going step by step. They're calibrating everything, right? That's China's approach. They're going to calibrate their response. They've thought this out. They've thought all of this out. They've had many, many years to think this through, and they knew it was coming. They knew it was coming, and I think they're going to handle this just fine. And eventually, you're going to get a conversation, a negotiation between Trump and Xi Jinping. And something will get worked out. Something will happen there. But Victor Orban, he posted on X. This is a bit long. This is a long post, but I think it's worth it. Let me read it to you. Orban said, yesterday, we held the first EU summit in Brussels since President Trump was inaugurated. It was a strategic gathering. Everyone in Brussels can see the Trump tornado coming, but most still think they can get away from it. They won't. In 14 days, Donald Trump has already turned the world upside down with a few measures. The gender madness in America is over. The financing of globalists, Soros organizations is over. Illegal migration is over. And support for the Russian-Ukraine war is also over. Interesting. In other words, everything that the bureaucrats in Brussels have tried to force down our throats in recent years is over. But there's something else here. We can also say goodbye to the rules of world trade as we know them. President Trump will stand up for American interests, even against Europe. The European Union faces difficult months ahead, and the bureaucrats in Brussels are going to have a tough time. We need to make an agreement, a deal, to preserve our economic relations with the United States. And a really good deal can be made by those who not only know, but also respect each other. We always knew that President Trump would return, so we were prepared. We are constantly negotiating, and we will make a good deal with the new administration of the United States. And what about the bureaucrats in Brussels? You've made your bed, now lie in it. That's the full post from Orban. He's taking a victory lap. He is taking a victory lap, and he's saying, we are prepared. We were prepared. We are prepared. We saw this coming. We bet on Trump, not Harris. We bet on Trump, and we won, and we were right. And Brussels, you were wrong. And And I feel like Orban is also saying, we're the leaders of Europe now. Let us take the lead. If you follow us, we'll get through this tornado. Otherwise, you've made your bed, now lie in it. Man, what a message from Orban, huh? What a message from Orban. The Ukraine war is also over, he says. What does he know? What has he been saying to Trump? What have they been talking about? Because you know, if there's one leader in the European Union that Trump talks to on a fairly regular basis, it's got to be Orban. So that's the statement from Orban. This has probably put a big dent. Everything that's going on right now has probably put a big dent in the EU's regime change plans for Orban, for the Orban administration. Peter Magyar and all of that, trying to remove Orban. This has probably taken a hit, seeing everything that's been happening over the past couple of days in the United States. The EU. The EU is going down in flames, man. They are going down in freaking flames. So let's talk about someone else who's going down in flames. The Green Goblin. The Green Goblin, ELENSKY. ELENSKY's in big trouble. A lot of panic in Kiev. Politico has an article with the title, Ukraine Freaks Out as US and Russia Push for Elections. Ukrainian officials fear an alignment between Washington and Moscow could shut them out of the discussions about their country's future. A former Ukrainian minister who was granted anonymity to freely discuss the sensitive subject told Politico that the alignment on elections between Washington and Moscow is worrisome, adding, I see it as the first evidence that Trump and Putin agree that they want ELENSKY out. This is a Ukrainian minister speaking to Politico. Trump and Putin agree that they want ELENSKY out. Putin is calling for elections. The Trump White House is also saying, elections, probably a good idea. Probably a good idea. That's what Kellogg said. Yeah, probably a good idea. If we get elections, we got to preserve that Ukrainian democracy after all, right? Right? Yeah, right. Ukrainian media companies are crumbling. I was reading an article this morning which says that so many Ukrainian media companies are just falling apart because of the cutting off of money from USAID, mostly from USAID. Russian Foreign Intel Service, they put out a statement saying that NATO is now trying to find ways to remove ELENSKY in order to please the United States and Trump, right? So the officials in NATO are saying, yeah, if we want to keep the U.S. on side, invested in Europe, keep this relationship with the U.S., which funds 70 or 80% of NATO, maybe ELENSKY's going to have to go. So that's what Russian intel is saying. NATO is trying to figure out a way to get elections in Ukraine as well. How long do you figure it will be before Ursula comes out with a statement and says, elections in Ukraine? Yeah, yeah. Or Kaya Kallas is going to come out with a statement. I think Ukraine needs elections. No, not Kaya Kallas. She's committed to ELENSKY, full. She's 100% committed to the Green Goblin. Rock solid commitment from Kaya Kallas. But Ursula, if Trump tells her, I want ELENSKY gone, Ursula will come out and say ELENSKY's in tatters. We've got tools, ELENSKY. Yeah. Poroshenko is circling like a vulture. I'm not joking, man. The chocolate king, the one-time president of Ukraine, he's circling like a freaking vulture. Can you hear the frogs? They're so loud. And now they stopped. They're smart, man. I think they know frogs. I think they know the word frogs. Did he say frogs? Shh. Quiet. Yeah, Poroshenko is circling, man. He's saying that that ELENSKY effed up. That's what he said. I think he put it out on a video post on Facebook. That ELENSKY effed up. Trump don't like him. Trump doesn't like him, he said. He said in 2 weeks he hasn't been able to win the White House over. And then Poroshenko said that, I believe he said that he's going to travel to the United States and try to charm the Trump administration, bring them some chocolates, because he's a chocolate king. Bring them some tasty, tasty chocolates from his chocolate factory. Everyone loves chocolate. That's what Poroshenko is going to say. Everyone loves chocolate. I'm going to give him some chocolate. I'll bring him some of my best chocolate, and he's going to support me as the new president of Ukraine. ELENSKY's going to go. I'm going to be in. That's what Poroshenko is aiming for. And ELENSKY's nemesis, his one-time BFF, his sidekick, his co-star in so many TV shows and movies, Arestovich. He was his spokesman, his spin doctor for a couple of years. Arestovich. Now he's ELENSKY's arch rival, his nemesis. He is saying that Ukraine is lost. That's what Arestovich is saying. It's over, man. Not only is Arestovich coming out and saying Ukraine has lost, finished, it's done. We lost this war. That's what Arestovich is saying. But he's also saying that, you know what? Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, US, China, Russia, they're going to solve Ukraine. Actually, they're going to work together to solve all kinds of problems. That's what Arestovich is saying, man. Let me get you his quote. US President Donald Trump will sort things out with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping without consulting us, because engaging with those who deny reality is futile, Arestovich wrote. We have lost the war due to our own stupidity, pride, and stubbornness. In truth, we have defeated ourselves, Arestovich added. We have created a society of mutual hatred and intolerance in which every individual is right and everyone collectively is to blame. Arestovich also wants to be president, by the way. Poroshenko wants to be president. Arestovich wants to be president. ELENSKY's freaking out. Time to look for a new gig, ELENSKY. Time to look for a new gig. Call up your agent. Call up your agent. Victoria Nuland, got any other gigs for me? Any other openings? Dictator in a green t-shirt? Any other jobs for me? Newland's going to say, I have nothing. Actually, our production company, the NED, we might be shut down. Sorry, ELENSKY. It's been nice working with you. Medvedev, he called out ELENSKY's BS from his interview with the Associated Press the other day, where he said, 124 billion? I don't know where it went. You said 200 billion. I only got 76 billion. I only got 76 billion. Trust me, bro, only 76 billion. Hey, Podolyak. Yeah, 76 billion. Medvedev saying, no, not so fast. Not so fast. You know where the money went. That's what Medvedev said. You know where the money went. You were in on the game. You and the US and the EU and military officials and the MIC companies, all of you were involved in the grift. That's what Medvedev said. Medvedev slams ELENSKY's claims about US aid as brazen lies. Billions have vanished into the pockets of kleptocrats from Washington to Kiev, according to the former Russian president. That's right. Do I have any quotes from Medvedev? Let's see here. In a fit of candor, the Bandera regime's boss admitted that he and his cronies had siphoned off $100 billion, Medvedev said. The $100 billion lined the pockets of all kinds of kleptocrats, from Washington to Kiev. Medvedev expressed skepticism about any forthcoming accountability, stating, the thieves will pardon themselves. Biden has already started the process. Medvedev, man. Medvedev. So Trump was asked yesterday about Ukraine. I believe it was Peter Ducey from Fox News. I think that was his voice but I'm not sure. But he was signing more executive orders, and he had another one of these mini press conferences as he's signing executive orders. And someone, I think it was Peter Ducey, but anyway, a journalist asked him about the rare earths in Ukraine, and is the United States, are they going to get all of these resources when they work out a deal for Project Ukraine? And I think Trump's answer showed that he's completely disinterested in Project Ukraine. I really think his answer showed that he's disinterested. You can tell that he doesn't care. Because when Peter Ducey threw out the question, Trump's response was, yeah, rare earths, yeah, we want all the rare earth. I think he said rare earth. We want all the rare earth. We want it all, yeah, we'll take the rare earth. We've given them 100 billion. We want the rare earth. It was as if he hasn't thought about it. He hasn't really thought about it. It's just like Peter Ducey's asking me about rare earth. Sure, we'll take the rare earth, whatever. I'll play the video. You can see the video.
Ukraine earlier, the rare earths, is that something you want them to give the rare earths to the United States?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to have security of rare earth. We're putting in hundreds of billions of dollars. They have great rare earth, and I want security of the rare earth.
I don't know. I listened to his tone, and to me it came off as if he just doesn't care. He really doesn't care. He's divesting from Project Ukraine. They're out. They're out, man. That's how I see things. Like I could be 100% freaking wrong, and a lot could change. But it seems like the Trump White House they just want this thing over and done with. They don't want to deal with this anymore. That's how it looks. Maybe they're going to run out the clock and just let Russia do what it's going to do. I don't know. They've got other stuff to talk about with Putin and with Russia. A lot of other things that they need to discuss. But all of the resources, like the big time important resources, they're all under Russia's control. Pretty much most of it is under Russia's control, or a majority of it is under Russia's control. So there really isn't much that the U.S. is going to get from Project Ukraine, if there were to be some sort of a freeze, which there isn't. But if there were to be a freeze along the current front lines, Russia has all of the important stuff, pretty much, because everyone, after they heard Trump's statement, everyone went onto the interwebs and they started to pull up maps to see where all of the resources, the minerals, and the rare earths, where all of this stuff is located, and most of it is in the east, in Donbass. So let's do a clown world. How am I doing on time? Oh my God, long video. Let's do a clown world. We'll wrap this thing up. And Mark Rutte, he said the other day that Ukraine is not losing, but the front is moving in the wrong direction. That's what NATO said. Ukraine is not losing, but the front is just moving in the wrong direction. It's not a loss. It's just going in a different direction than we wanted it to move. And he also admitted that without the United States, there is no NATO. He also had that admission as well. There you are. All right, I'm wrapping up the video with the frogs. The frog is saying, subscribe to this channel. The frog is saying, like this video, and the frog is saying, go to the Duran shop. Right? That's what the frog is saying. All right, everybody, take care.